Hello, my love, and welcome to the Energy Expansion Podcast. I am your host, Dani Kenney, and as always, I am so incredibly excited to be here with you today because the conversation that I'm going to share with you is a really powerful one. It is one that is near and dear to my heart. Today, I'm going to bring you into some personal stories, some really vulnerable experiences. I'm going to share some things with you that I don't share very often. And here's how it's going to go down. So, if you've been with me for the last couple of weeks, you've probably heard me talk about this personal challenge, this thing that I'm up to called 39 to 39, which, as I calculated out, I don't know if it's going to happen exactly, but we're going to see it through to the end. But it's 39 live videos up to my 39th birthday. I don't think I did the calendar math very well when I realized that I typically am not on social media on the weekends. And for the most part, I'm going to keep it that way. So we're probably going to go a little bit past my 39th birthday. And you know what? That's okay. Why? Because I'm making up the rules, just like you get to make up the rules in your own life. And so, what I'm going to be sharing with you today is a live video that I created earlier this week. And not only are you getting access to this live video, which, yes, is available now on my Instagram, that's where I record the original content and then I repurpose it over to my Facebook, but I also go live for my private clients inside of Energy Expansion Academy every single week. And I was feeling so inspired by this very important conversation that I ended up carrying it over and taking it a little bit deeper again with my private clients. And so I'm going to share all of these different pieces with you. So you might have caught little bits and pieces of this on social media, but there's going to be some content that is new, that is not available anywhere else outside of this episode and Energy Expansion Academy with my clients who are in there. And today's conversation is really about the power of being in uncomfortable situations. When we are divinely placed in situations that maybe don't look like our plans, they don't go according to our plans, and how those types of situations can be used for good. I share about my son's birthday. You're going to hear all about that. And that's really what prompted a lot of this conversation, was reflecting on the last several years and that particular instance, but then also comparing it to some things that I'm navigating in this season. Yes, right now, today. And I have a feeling that this is something you're going to be able to relate to and hopefully you find really inspiring and helpful. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this intro. It'll take you right into the original live video. And then as that one ends, you're going to hear me say hello again. And that is the sort of behind the scenes conversations that I've had with my clients. So I will see you at the end of the episode. Hello, my love. I don't know about you. I am feeling the sweetest buzz of energy for so many reasons. First off, you know this by now. I really love Mondays. I love a new beginning. I shared that with you when we went live together on March 1st. And here we are, the second week of March. So much magic, so much possibility, not just for this month, but for this entire year. We're only really a handful of weeks into the year, and this is the area of possibility and opportunity. It is literally limitless. That's what I'm feeling today. If that's not what you're feeling and that's what you want to be feeling, then I want to encourage you to take some of this yummy new possibility energy. And there's a couple things that are contributing to this really sweet feeling. So yesterday was International Women's Day. Officially, I think there was like fun celebrations on Saturday. I was seeing so much stuff on social media about it yesterday, and I didn't really have a clear imprint or remembering of International Women's Day until a few years ago. There's a little story about that. I was doing some journaling about this last night. As you can see, I journaled a few pages about what I want to share with you. The other reason it feels really sweet is today is my son, River. It's his 4th birthday. Oh my gosh, we had the best time, the absolute best time celebrating him. all weekend, and we sent him to school today. I've got some stuff on my calendar. My husband's got a regular work day. And so we sent him with some treats to celebrate with his friends, and we'll do some fun stuff later on. But I feel really reflective and a little bit nostalgic as I'm remembering a time well before 4 years ago where March 9th was just another day. It was just another day, a great day to be alive. And that was it. And now March 9th will forever hold this energetic imprint of being one of my favorite days ever because I got to meet one of my favorite people ever. And the way that he came into the world was so amazing. And that's not necessarily what we're going to go into in detail today. But if you're curious, I've had two out of my three kids, two of my three kids were at home births. My second birth, my middle child, Hannah, she was an unplanned and accidental, like, oh, we're not going to make it to the hospital. So let me deliver her myself with my own two hands, kind of at home birth. And then when I found out, which is going to be part of what I want to bring you into today, that I was pregnant with River, I figured, well, if I did it once on accident, if I did it once unplanned, and it was actually a really lovely experience, I wonder how amazing this could be if we actually planned this out. So we had home birth in the beautiful space we were living in at the time. It was absolutely perfect. And he was born in the bathtub. I didn't know if I wanted to have a water birth. There's like all these different options. And ultimately, he ended up being born in a warm, cozy bathtub. He is a Pisces and his name is River. So, like, here for all of the water stuff. And so that's a big part of the goodness that I'm feeling today. But what I wanted to bring you into was something that I wrote in my journal last night. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a little bit emotional. And so many of you know, if you know me well, you know that I am absolutely obsessed with my children, obsessed with my family. The obsession is a little extreme. Like, oh, how much I love these humans. My son, obviously, being in that camp, I feel that same way about him. And I cannot imagine, I would not want to imagine what life would look like without him. In fact, because of him, I feel like I want 10 more babies. If we won the lottery and resources were unlimited, I would love to have, I just love babies. And he reignited and reminded me of my love for that. But we will not be having 10 more or really any more babies. I don't think so, unless God has different plans for us, which he did in the case of River. And so that's what I want to bring you into. We were forever, my husband and I honestly didn't even know, shocker. I did not know if I wanted to be a mom. There was a big portion, the majority of my life, I was convinced that I did not want to be a mom. Another fun fact is I was absolutely certain that I would never be an entrepreneur. I did not want to be a business owner. I went to school for business administration and leadership, and I wanted to run other people's businesses. And I got a really solid, almost decade-long taste of that. And I really loved my role within that company, but getting to work so closely with the business owner, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to support other business owners. I never want to do this on my own. So take that from someone who is now a very successful entrepreneur, has generated over $2 million within my own business, and a very happy mom of three, right? So that's not even part of why I wanted to share today, but like take that and sit with it. It's so interesting what we think about what our future is going to look like and how different it can end up and how beautifully perfect it can be. So the thing I want to share with you is somebody who didn't even know that they wanted to be a mom. I knew that if I was going to be a mom, I had to be a girl mom. Like, put that request in with the big guy upstairs. So I had my two girls. My husband wanted two kids. That was it. We were happy. We got to this age. If you're a parent, you know that there's this like really sweet age. I want to say it's like around 5, where your kids are kind of sort of self-sufficient. They're like becoming their own people. They're a little less whiny and clingy and needy. And not that there's anything wrong with those things, but those things suck my energy. And so all of the sudden, I'm like really, really enjoying motherhood in a way that I never really had before. Like I liked it, but I'm like, oh, I love these people. Like these tiny people are cool. They're my people. And I had a lot more energy to share and give. And like my mental clarity was coming back and my business was hitting new milestones. And I had enrolled in my first of now two master practitioner certifications and think like we were just doing it. And I had all of these big plans and visions and whatnot. And then summer of 2021 rolls around, and I can't even tell you. I didn't feel anything, but I must have just like missed my period. And I was like, this is strange. So I took a pregnancy test. And between you and I, I'm being completely honest with you, I was pissed. I was so mad. This was the end of July. Pregnancy test positive. We had just thrown away or donated, I should say, like on Facebook Marketplace or one of those moms groups, a pack and play, a stroller, like all of those big, bulky baby things. Me and my husband, when we got rid of those things, we like high-fived and booty bumped and we're so pumped. Never have to change another diaper again. And I was mad. I literally looked up at God and I was like, what do you think you're doing? What is going on here? And I picked up the phone, not very nice. I called my husband. I was like, hey, I've got something to tell you. There's something going on here, and I'm not going to hold this on my own. And I was like crying and angry. And he goes, you're pregnant. And I was like, how'd you know? It's around our plans. It's around everything. I thought we were dying. Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, it's going to be wonderful. What? If you guys know my husband, so at that point, we had just celebrated. Funny enough, we had just celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary. Little bit of TMI, but I know we're cool here. We're good here. When you do the math, River was conceived on our 10th wedding anniversary. So God must have been like, look at these parents. They're doing such a good job. Here's a gift for making it to 10 years in your marriage, right? Not the gift that I had wanted, but I'm forever grateful for because sometimes we don't always know what's best for us, right? Better than God does. We don't know those things. And so sharing this with you, I had never in 10 years, I had been with my husband for 11 years, been married for 10. I had never heard him say the word wonderful. I didn't even know that his mouth could move in that way. And so when Mr. Kenney says it's going to be wonderful, I'm like, you think? Really? Do you believe that? And he was like, yeah, it's going to be wonderful. I don't know if he really believed that, but he just needed to say something to like shock my system and make me stop crying so he could get back to work probably. And so I was like, yeah, this is going to be wonderful. And then I proceed to call my mom and I do the whole thing with my mom. And my mom goes with so much, shut up. And I was like, what? She goes, that baby isn't even going to be your baby. That baby belongs to those girls, meaning my daughters. She was like, you're going to have to fight your own daughters to hold that baby. This baby isn't yours. This baby belongs to your family. Like, get over it, girl. And I was like, you're right. You're right. So that day, things started to shift. They started to shift that day, and they had to change dramatically. And here is what I had to give you all that backstory because I looked over at my son last night. We're at that still transitioning into out of mom and dad's bed, co-sleeping into his own room, which is so cool, literally built with the bare hands of my husband and his dad, my father-in-law. Painted the perfect color blue. We've got some Sonic, we've got some Ninja Turtles, we've got Marvel, we've got Mario, all of these things. I'm looking over at him as he's falling asleep last night, and I am just awestruck and so grateful and have so much love for this little being because I had this realization in this moment that the insanely stunning life that we have, I owe it all to that kid. What do I mean? We were living in a really cute, it worked, it was great, not throwing any shade on Nightingale Street in Livermore. But we were living in 1,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms. As the girls were getting bigger, we were all starting to get really cramped. If you do the math, if you know anything about square footage, having 4 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen in 1,000 square feet, these are tiny rooms. And what I wrote in my journal last night was it was making me think of the fact that, and I've like seen these little memes floating around and such on different places on the internet, but it's basically God says, if I didn't make you uncomfortable, you wouldn't have moved. If I didn't put you in a position where you had to change, where you were literally forced to step into the goodness and faithfulness that I, God, have in store for you, like you would have never had it. And I was feeling this flood of emotion last night. And I was also feeling, let me know if you can relate to this at all. I was also feeling the ways that I'm really uncomfortable in this season of life, and all of the ways that I've tried to pretend that I'm not, and all of the ways that I've attempted to resist the discomfort or call it something different or put a band-aid on it or push it away. And last night, with the energy and the reflection and the remembrance of all of this, it was just so helpful and so illuminating, because when I think about the last time I was really uncomfortable, the last time it felt like the rug was pulled out from beneath my feet and I was having a hard time finding my footing, it ended up being the gateway, the doorway, the portal to an entirely new kind of life that was bigger and better and more beautiful than I ever could have imagined. Like, I couldn't have even dreamt about this in my journal. Like, when I was writing in my manifestation journals back then, I couldn't have dreamt up a life that looks like this. And it all started with something that I thought I didn't want, that I thought wasn't supposed to be part of the plan, that made me angry, that made me frustrated because I didn't have any control over it. And so I was thinking about that last night. And again, the level of discomfort that I experienced then, the level of discomfort that I'm in all these years later now, 4 years later to be exact, almost to the day. And I wanted to share this with you. I actually got, as I was writing this, that I'm supposed to share this with you. That if you're in a season of discomfort, there's nothing bad or wrong about that. It is actually probably exactly where you're meant to be. It is the thing that is necessary for you to get to where you're meant to go. So I'm going to just finish off today with sharing a little bit of this from my journal. But again, in quotes, I said, I had to make you uncomfortable, otherwise you wouldn't have moved. You wouldn't have felt the need to do things differently or to make a change. If God has you in an uncomfortable place, take it as an honor. Take it as something to celebrate, because it means that something really wonderful, there it is, really wonderful is coming together. It's going to be the greatest story that you could ever tell, a new way of living, a new level of goodness and faithfulness unlocked. This perspective feels really helpful right now with this part of my story, the discomfort, the heaviness, the restlessness. It's time to listen, to move, and to trust, to remember that we are not alone. So that was just a little snippet of what came through as I was journaling yesterday, and I wanted to share it with you, and the way that it ties into all this beautiful energy. And I literally came on today, and I meant it when I said that I'm loving this energy and it's so sweet, and coming off of this glorious weekend and International Women's Day. And I love being a woman and I love other women and just all the things. And then today being my son's birthday, it's like this high vibe energy, little bit of the cloud9 pinch me. Yes, please, more, please. How does it get even better than this? And I just admitted to you that simultaneously I'm sitting in a season of discomfort. I'm feeling a little restless, feeling a little bit antsy. And so I think that's something that's important for you to be with, is like, you can hold really gracefully all of these beautiful experiences and truths and reality. It doesn't have to be black or white, one or the other. And so just let yourself be where you are. Honor that, trust that. Know that if you're going through your own season of discomfort, there was honestly a lot of grief in that season. I'm so grateful for what our life looks like. I'm so grateful for my son. I love him so much. but I had to grieve what I thought our future was going to look like. And so there was frustration, discomfort, anger, sadness, grief, fear, all of it. And it was everything that I needed to feel so that I could create what was next. And so that I'm just going to leave that there for you. Let me know if this lands. I love you so much, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Hello. I just went live on my Instagram. As you guys know, I'm doing the 39 to 39. We're going to make it. I'm not one to say when something is not going to happen, but I feel like I need to be doing some like double days, especially if I am not going live on the weekends. Today was day 11. I went into my little live archive in Instagram. That's where I've been doing all of them and then repurposing them to the other places, like here on Facebook, on my public page. And today was day 11. So I need to like really do the math. We're doing it. This is girl math. I'm going to do it and go live, and we'll get there when we get there. But I'm like, maybe we got to pick up the pace. We got to do a few double days, which I'm super down to. I'm noticing that the more that I share, the more God is giving me to share. But in just a little gist here, if I didn't already say it, is River's 4th birthday. I know that we are all connected on social media, and so many of you probably saw that we had a Spider-Man birthday for him. This was so lovely, so convenient, because he requested a Spider-Man birthday for his 2nd birthday, and I spent a pretty penny on some really nice decor, and your girl saved it. This morning, I told my husband, I said, see, all of that hoarding that you give me a hard time for paid off, because we had the coolest stuff. And I'm not really a hoarder, but he is far from any version of hoarding. And so he thinks that like my little pockets of things that I like to keep just in case I need them in the future, it drives him crazy. But you know what drives me crazy is getting rid of something and then a year later buying a new one. I'm like, we had that. We got rid of it. I don't want to buy the same thing twice. Where are you? Where do you stand on that? There's no right or wrong, but I think that this is interesting. And I think that this comes up in partnership quite often. So we celebrated River's birthday over the weekend. Today is his actual birthday. And last night and today, I was doing a lot of reflecting on when I found out this summer of 2021, when I found out that I was pregnant with him, and what having him in my life, in our life as a family, and even just like this sweet being is now in the world. And he has such special, fun, playful energy, and he's such a bright light. Like, oh, everything is better because he's here. And also, when I first found out I was pregnant, that was not my train of thoughts. All right, love, real quick pause because I have to tell you about something that is truly life-changing. If you've been in my world for any amount of time, then there is a 99.9% chance that you have heard me talk about Energy Expansion Academy, which is my signature group coaching program where I teach the exact tools, rituals, mindset shifts that helped me create a life that goes beyond my wildest dreams and has transformed the lives of hundreds of women that I've had the honor of serving. And for the first time ever, it is now available as a self-paced experience. That means you get to move through this powerful transformation on your own terms, in your own timing, and in full alignment with your life. This is for the woman who's ready to shift her energy, elevate her mindset, and finally become the most confident, fulfilled, and successful version of herself. Without the hustle, without the overwhelm, and without the second guessing. If you've been feeling the nudge to join us inside of EEA, then this, my love, is your sign. You'll find the link in the show notes or just DM me EEA on Instagram and I'll personally send it your way. Now, let's get back to the episode that you came for. And so I really bring you into that. I don't know, pretty vulnerably. I think some people, rightfully so, might watch that video and be like, I can't believe you said those things. I can't believe you thought those thoughts, but it was my truth. And looking back now, I stand by my truth, although I feel very differently. Now, the grief turned to gratitude. The shock turned to, God, let's go on this ride and show me how good it can get. But the gist of the message is around discomfort and how sometimes God, what I call God, whatever you call it, God, universe, spirit, source, Gaia, goddess, whatever, makes us uncomfortable. And we have to be uncomfortable so that we move, so that we change, so that we do things differently. I love this conversation around being comfortable versus being uncomfortable, discomfort. And it's a little cliche, but I love a cliche because what makes a cliche a cliche? It's the fact that it is usually, not always, not 100%, but it is usually true. And what do they say about comfort zones? Magic does not happen inside of the comfort zone, right? There's like a diagram and it's like a circle and it says comfort zone. And then there's a smaller circle out here outside of the comfort zone. There's an arrow and it says where the magic happens. This is your comfort zone. There's no magic in here. Magic is over here, right? And I've also heard people say that your comfort zone is where your dreams go to die. And this isn't about like you being completely dysregulated, just like sweating bullets, walking through life fearful 24/7. No, that's not what this is about. But this is about stretching, bumping up against your own energetic edges. Can I expand out a little bit and then a little bit more? Ooh, this feels scary. Let me take a couple deep breaths and find a sense of safety here. And then can I go out even further? You with me? I love and I don't love how some of you are being stretched and being guided, divinely guided through really uncomfortable things, through really scary things, through things that stir up sadness, anger, grief, fear, frustration, whatever it might be, right? All of the emotions, one of those, two of those, all of those. And there is a power in trusting this is being used for good. And you can also, you might want to flip me the bird right now because you might not want to believe that. And that's okay if you don't believe that right now. But what's the alternative? I have such a passionate relationship with the experience of faith, with the frequency of faith, which is why inside of our EEA audio toolkit, we literally have a faith frequency activation because I would not be who I am. I would not be able to move through the world the way that I do without my faith. And faith says, this thing in front of me freaking sucks. And this thing's really hard. And I don't like it and I don't want it, but I'm going to choose to believe that something good is going to come from this. That's really hard to believe, but I don't want to believe the alternative. I'm not going to believe in the worst case scenario. I can prepare myself little bits. I can do what I can, what's in my control, right? If we start to dance on the line of worst case scenario, but I'm not going to give that more of my time and my thoughts and my energy than it deserves. And it really doesn't deserve very much of it. You with me on that? And so that is a gist of what I had shared a little bit earlier today around this conversation of discomfort. And sometimes we are divinely placed. Most of the time, if you're in an uncomfortable, hard, heartbreaking, tragic scenario, you don't have to take this on. I'm not going to project this onto you. My belief is that that is going to be used for something, for the evolution, for the expansion, for the embetterment, for the whatever of your soul's growth. And a lot of times it's not just even about you. It's about the way that you're able to take that and share it and give it and teach it to others, right? So let me know how that lands for you. Do you choose to believe that also? No judgment if you don't. I just know that for me, as I'm like saying this out loud, everything in my body is like, yep, that's going to be the path that I take. That's going to be the belief system that is going to get me as far as I can possibly go, farther than any other belief system. Hallelujah for the faith frequency. Let's all tap in. Let's all drink that in. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I'm excited to hear from you. If you end up watching the live that I shared earlier, let me know how it lands. Feel free to comment, reshare, whatever that looks like for you. And I'll see you soon. All right, Energy Expansion Pod Squad, we did it. that pretty much wraps up today's episode. So before I send you off into your day, I just want to thank you for tuning in and for listening to this episode and to any and every other episode that you may have had the chance to tune into. It really means the world to have you here with me. I genuinely hope that you loved receiving this message as much as I loved sharing it with you. And as always, I really enjoy hearing from you. So if there's anything you want to share with me, if there was an aha moment, an insight, if there's anything you're wanting to learn more about, if I touched on something that had you feel curious, pop out of wherever you're listening to this episode and send me a message. Send me a message on social media. I'd love to continue this conversation with you. And if you found this helpful, oh my goodness, it would mean the world if you take a quick screenshot, share it on your social media, and or share this episode with a friend who's maybe going through her own difficult or uncomfortable season. We all get it. We've all been there. And then this is a loving reminder. We are still very much in the month of March. And if you missed our episode last week, which was all about momentum, that is my personal theme for the month of March. It has been for many years. You can go back and listen to last week's episode to learn more about the why behind that. But we've got an insane deal happening this month. Within our DKC, Dani Kenney Coaching brand, one of our top selling transformational courses is known as Momentum, the 4-week experience. This is something that I find myself going back to again and again because it is so powerful, so helpful. And here's the thing, it freaking works. It's simple and it works, and the results speak for themselves, not just in my personal and professional life, but with the hundreds of women who have also said yes and gifted themselves this amazing experience. This course has previously been sold for $444 as a standalone 4-week experience. Right now, for the month of March, you can snag it for one payment of $88. One payment, not $88 every month or every week. You pay $88 one time and you get lifetime access to Momentum, the 4-week experience, as well as I'm gifting this to you just for the month of March. It is called Go Live, our 10-day visibility accelerator. When I had shared with my online community that I was taking myself through this fun 39 to 39 live video challenge, so many of you said, I want to go on this journey with you. And so the Go Live Visibility Accelerator is chock full of prompts and tips and tools and resources to support you on your visibility journey, if that's something that you feel called to. That course is sold on our website for $197. So right now, the month of March 2026, you're getting both of these courses, lifetime access to them, for less than $100. You're getting over $600 worth of DKC coaching programs for less than $100. Grab it, $88 in the show notes. I hope to see you inside of Momentum.